boundless circle out this morning. So the four measurables, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity, these boundless qualities of mind that the Buddha said we must cultivate in order to come to awakening, to the cessation of suffering. We talked a little bit about how do we cultivate these qualities, that we contact where we already experience them. They're inherent to our minds. So I don't have to explain to you what any of those things are, right? You just know by virtue of being human. Maybe our love for music, our compassion towards an animal, our joy at each other's joy, and our equanimity, just being at ease, maybe in our sitting, maybe in walking through the woods. We're all familiar with these states of mind. But we are going to minutely examine our experience of them. Where are they flowing in our consciousness, and where are they blocked? Most of the Buddhist path is the erosion of obstacles, so we always spend lots of time on these blockages, these stagnations. Really important, it's not a feel-good practice. We're not pretending to feel anything we don't. We're not manufacturing feelings. So it's not an affirmational practice, it's an aspirational practice. We're working with the power of intention, which is the power of mind, which is sowing seeds of well-being in our consciousness. It's not necessarily a comfortable practice because it's engaging your entire life exactly as it is arising. We're not, the Great Way is not difficult. It simply involves not picking and choosing. And we're really working on that not picking and choosing, working with the whole catastrophe. And we also emphasized last week, it's not a self-improvement project, right? We're not throwing any parts of ourselves out. We're working with ourselves exactly as we are right now on this Sunday morning, the first Sunday morning of spring in 2026, exactly as I am right now. So we're getting to know all aspects of ourselves, and working with ourselves not as rigid, fixed entities, but as the free-flowing energy that we are, the energy of life, the energy of the cosmos. And of course, the secret to doing that is care and kindness. It's a big ask to work with all the aspects of ourselves. So metta, loving kindness, the wish for happiness for ourselves and all beings. And we discussed how this wish is intrinsic to our human minds. And this wish for happiness is the expression of love. That wish is also our greatest resource in this practice and really in all the practices. If you are really stuck, if you really cannot feel an open heart towards a particular person, always fall back on that wish that all beings have happiness. Can you hear me okay, Yucha?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I can hear you better when I can see.
Okay. I shall look this way. Okay. That just as I wish to be happy, just as I wish my suffering to come to an end, so too do all beings have this wish, however misguided they might be. We all have that wish for happiness. And at the root of this wish for happiness is the expression of our Buddha nature. It's Buddha nature wanting to realize itself in this incarnation. So trust deeply in this wish for happiness. I know we've grown up in a culture where perhaps we're not encouraged to do that. So trust this. It is the expression of your Buddha nature. So we also talked about what metta is not. It's not forcing any particular feeling. Your job during metta meditation is to feel what you feel with complete honesty and authenticity. And know that the transitory feeling tones are far less important than the power of the aspiration, the power of intention. If you're not feeling the love, that's really not that important. What is important is the power of your aspiration. We're sowing the seeds of well-being in consciousness. The seeds will bear fruit at some stage. Rinzin always tells us it's none of our business what the outcome is. Our business is to do the work, to sow the seeds of well-being. And this is the raising of Bodhi mind, the mind of awakening, this aspiration for all beings, including ourselves, to come to complete and full awakening. So these teachings will sound very familiar because they apply to all the teachings at the temple, right? The raising of Bodhi mind. So last week, we practiced it in a very structured way. We directed metta towards ourselves, towards a being that just opens our hearts pretty naturally, and then towards a beloved friend. Relatively easy categories of beings to wish happiness to. And then we kind of stepped over the threshold into unconditional love, and we worked with neutral beings that we don't really know. And this cusp is really critical to metta. This is the shining of love that is not conditioned by like or dislike. So we're moving into that territory. This is the territory of wisdom, right? Dissolving the barriers of like and dislike. So we're cultivating equality of loving feeling. That is the fourth immeasurable, right? Equanimity. So equanimity is the full expression of loving kindness, compassion, and joy. So it's like in the paramitas where wisdom underlies all of the virtues. In the four immeasurables, equanimity underlies all of the immeasurables. So we're working towards equanimous loving kindness that isn't dependent on whether I like you or don't like you. It's the metaphor that's traditionally used is the sun shining equally on all surfaces without discrimination. And so the radiance of the open heart shines on all beings without exception. So it's wisdom practice in action, right? In wisdom, we see the illusory nature of barriers, and in metta, we work on dissolving those illusory barriers. Because they are illusory, that doesn't mean they're not real. They're very real. We feel them, right? We experience them. So we're working to really dissolve all separation. And it's not an easy practice. Some of these categories will be difficult, and of course it varies every time you do the practice. So it might be helpful just to think of establishing this circle of love and working outwards, ever increasing the openness of the heart. So let's establish the circle, shall we? Okay. So in metta, you always sit comfortably. If that's zazen position for you, that's fine, and if it isn't, that's fine also. If your metta typically can be done. It can be done really at any period of time. A regular sitting would be 20, 30 minutes. And if during that period you're uncomfortable, just shift. It's fine. We're being very kind to our bodies, to ourselves. So just let our mind settle. You might think of the wave falling back into the ocean. So we allow our mind to fall back into awareness, just into being. There's nothing to do, just relax. We talked about the phrases last week, the traditional phrases, emphasizing they're not prayers that we are asking to come true. They're intentions, they're offerings, they're gifts. We're working with mind here. So the traditional phrase is, may we be safe, may we be free from inner turmoil and external violence, may we have a safe haven, may we be well, may we come into harmony with our bodies where pain exists. May we not make an enemy of it. May we be peaceful. May we rest in our true nature, in the nature of all things. And may we be at ease. May our everyday lives be not such a struggle. And of course, you can be as creative and specific with these phrases as you like. The important thing is that they're meaningful to you, and they're meaningful to you right now. So for example, if you're working for a friend who's going through a particularly difficult time, you can actually make the intention for that situation. May they be safe and well in this particular situation. Personalize it, be creative. You're really encouraged to do that. So last week we started by wishing loving kindness to ourselves. So let's shake it up a little bit and start with the being that just opens our hearts. And a lot of Western teachers teach it in this way because self-criticism, self-hatred, self-judgment is just so prevalent in our society. The Buddha didn't have to worry about that. It was not a culturally significant thing. But for us it is. So let's start with a being that just opens our heart. It doesn't have to be a human. It can be a beloved pet. It can be someone that you respect, who's been very kind to you. It may be someone you don't even know, someone who's doing bodhisattvic work out there in the world, who you greatly admire. So whatever being just lifts your heart. But it does need to be a specific person. With these first categories, we're always working with an individual. So just bring this person into your awareness. You may visualize them. You may say their name to yourself. And just recall their good heart. And then direct whatever phrases come to mind toward them. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And whether or not a feeling of love arises, stay connected to them, stay connected to the aspiration. We're not struggling to create a particular feeling. And now let's extend that circle outward to include ourselves. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. If you feel blocked here, you may recall a circumstance in which you have shown someone a small kindness, and just take happiness in that memory. You can also use your imagination. Imagine yourself in the presence of Tara, and she's showering these blessings of happiness upon you. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be at ease. May I be happy. And now we'll open the heart even further. We'll extend the circle outward from the being that just lifts our heart, ourselves, and now out to a beloved friend, an uncomplicated relationship. When this person feels bad, it concerns us. When they feel happy, we kind of delight in that happiness. So that kind of relationship. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Again, a specific being. And now we'll extend the circle even further to neutral beings. It's a bad term, neutral. But beings that we don't have emotional entanglement with, that we may not even know their names. People we pass by at work, people we may see every morning at the coffee shop. And again, a specific neutral person. And with the realization that they are a being just like us, wishing to be happy and making mistakes. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. So having established this circle of loving kindness, we're going to move on to the difficult person. So really working with the radiance of love that's not dependent upon liking. So the encouragement is to begin with a being with whom the difficulty is not intense. Someone you find irritating or annoying, not a sworn enemy, okay? So we always do this opening of the heart gradually. Really know what's going on in your mind stream here. So in the immeasurables, we talk about the proximate cause. The proximate cause, the immediate cause. So the immediate cause of love is lovableness. This has served us well in our evolutionary history. Like, there's a reason babies are lovable. There's a reason kids are cute. It has served us well. So we're going to actually fall on this boundless quality of mind, really spacious quality of mind. Please be honest and feel what you feel as you bring this person into your mind stream. But can you consider a quality of this person that is lovable? For many years, I worked with a very difficult coworker, maybe 10 years, and people would go to great lengths to avoid her. So it wasn't a personality thing. She was difficult with everyone. People would always call the office on her lunch hour so they wouldn't have to work with her, or they would really want to know when she was going on vacation, and then they would come over to the office. So it was difficult, but it wasn't particularly personal. This was just the way she was with everyone. But when I talked to her about her cats, my goodness, she was like a different person. It was like there was connection the minute we talked about her cats. These barriers just fell down, and you could really feel this heart-to-heart connection there. Another thing, she was very generous, particularly with the student workers. We worked at the university together. So we would always do collections for their birthdays and for Christmas. And not only would she give generously, but we would put her in charge of the Christmas collection. And she would get the senior administrators to open their wallets like nobody else. So she used her powers of persistence for good. And she really took great joy in the student workers' reactions to this big envelope of cash that they went home with to their families every Christmas. So there was that lovableness in those circumstances, this like chink in the armor that the light could get through. Like that Leonard Cohen song, there is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. Can you perhaps find that crack in this person and connect with them? So let's bring our specific difficult person into our mind stream. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. And you approach this person very slowly, with a lot of compassion for ourselves. We are working with our hearts here. Maybe we can separate this person out from the actions that annoy us or have harmed us. Maybe we can pay less attention to their annoying traits and instead get in touch with the parts of them that are lovable. And of course, you can use the power of imagination. We're working with mind. Maybe imagine them tending to their beloved pet. Maybe imagine them as a child. And realize we may eventually come to a place where we can extend love to this person and at the same time counter any harm they are doing. And that is really important. We are not condoning harm. We're not becoming doormats. It's out of great compassion for our hearts that we are cultivating these conditions for radiant love. So if harm is being done, injustice is being done, we respond appropriately. Can we do that and still maintain our open heart? And that is a big ask. Be kind with yourself as you do this. Really, metta is the work of a lifetime or lifetimes. And if all else fails, just come back to that universal wish for happiness, which this person also shares, even while they look for this happiness in all the wrong places. Always accepting that different feelings will come and go, and this is not a problem. We're being very honest with ourselves. Just allow these feelings to pass through you. Don't push them away. Don't cling to them. The standard advice, right? And just go back to sending metta. If it becomes too much, go back to the being that opens your heart unconditionally. Recharge. If you feel you can, go back to the difficult person. If that's just too much right now, that's fine. Maybe it's the work of another day. Just be kind to yourself. And of course, on a pragmatic level, you might consider that this person may have gone on with their lives without a second thought to you. So it's out of great compassion for myself, from my heart, that I'm wishing them loving kindness. Out of this compassion, may I let this go. May I let the energy of this go. You may also consider that we all know how painful aversive states of mind are: anger, fear. So how much must this person be suffering to be constantly in those aversive states? May we have compassion for their suffering. So be patient with yourself. Please try not to have any expectations about what you should be feeling. And on the other side of that coin, don't assume you know the richness of the seeds of these intentions for love that you are sowing. You may notice as you integrate this practice that you're becoming more patient. It's more easy for you to listen to people. But the Dharma is like that, right? It's like Suzuki Roshi said, it's like walking through the morning mist and suddenly you're wet. And like you don't even know how that happened. It just seeps into you. It's this radical allowing and just eroding the barriers. And always remember, our practice, however it's manifesting, is for the alleviation of suffering. Can I see the world and the beings in it, rather than in terms of good and bad, in terms of suffering and the alleviation of suffering? And just to say at this point, you can also do this practice for working with the difficult aspects of yourself, the parts of yourself you don't like. Because your healing really depends upon being able to do this work, being able to show love towards the parts we don't like. So when they arise, may I also accept this. This is not separate. May I be filled with loving kindness towards this also. It's easy to love ourselves when we're showing love. It's a little more difficult when we're in an aversive state, resentment, whatever it happens to be. May I show love towards this also. And may I use the pain of this arising for the benefit of all beings. We all know these aversive states very well. So let's move on to the boundless circle. We've worked all the way through to the difficult person, and now we're going to move on to all beings, boundless. What if we lived our lives without the rigidity of concepts? If we lived from the realization that nothing is fixed, nothing is solid, nothing is stagnant, that we are intimately woven into the energy of the cosmos. We are the fabric of life itself, boundless. And this realization is the fount of love, that there is actually no separation. And we are grown-ups. We can choose to live our lives so our minds embody love, or we can choose to live our lives from habitual energy patterns and concepts of separation. So last week we chanted the Metta Sutta, the words of the Buddha, where he said, so with a boundless heart should we cherish all beings. This is wisdom and compassion, breaking down all the barriers. Metta, love, is the seeing into this oneness. The Metta Sutta is about love, and it's about oneness. So that level of unconditional, infinite radiance of love. And of course, other side of the coin, the illusion of separation is our suffering. And in the practice of the immeasurables, you are always working on the oneness of self, including all the difficult aspects, and the oneness of all beings, including all the difficulties that we encounter. So the Buddha taught that in working with metta, we cultivate a love so strong that it's like space. So if we throw paint into space, there's nothing for it to cling to. It just falls away. The only thing that paint can cling to are the barriers, our self-imposed barriers. So we're actually working to erode those barriers. So nothing can cling. No greed, no aversion. So mind's boundless, open like space. So one really radical way of doing that is all beings, the all beings meditation, which is just the extension of this circle of love, right? So we're working on that, the truth that we have never been separate, isolated beings. Whether we realize that or not, that is true. So we're actually working on realizing that. And this is the foundation of our moral and ethical awakening. Those of you who have done Jukai may realize that in working with the precepts, this is what you're working with, dissolving barriers. So there's a couple of ways of, traditional ways of doing this work. Again, you're working with your minds, be as creative as you like. Traditionally, we work with big categories, so boundless, all beings, all creatures, all beings in existence. And then we direct the metaphrases toward whatever category we've chosen. So may all those in existence be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. So this includes all beings. Another way of doing this is to work with groups of beings. So either groups of opposites or complementary groups. So you're still encompassing all beings. For example, beings that I know and beings that are unknown to me. Beings that are near, beings that are far. You see, we're including everyone. But working in this way really helps us work with barriers. We may notice it's really easier to work with one group than with another. Maybe easier to work with beings that are known to me rather than beings that are unknown to me. And a really important aspect of the practice is actually seeing what the barriers are. So for example, maybe we could eventually get to working with the group of people who are suffering and those who are creating suffering. It's really easy to see a barrier there, right? Again, this is the work of a lifetime. We don't rush it. but whatever groups speak to you, be as creative as you like. So a very traditional form of all beings meditation is to work with all beings in the 10 directions. Those of you who do shishin, and I've had to do the tea offering at the end where all the dregs of the tea, you go outside and you offer the tea, you do it in the 10 directions, right? The cardinal points, the intercardinal points, and then down and up. It's 10 directions, meaning everywhere. So we're working with the vast openness of space, of mind. So first, let's do it in a really simple way. A simple expansion outwards. Let's bring into our awareness all the beings in the temple right now. Here in the zendo, in the kitchen, in the bathrooms, all the beings in the temple. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And now let's extend metta outwards to all the beings on Imogene Road, on a stateway, at UT, all the beings in Toledo and the metropolitan area. May all these beings be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And extending out to all beings in the United States, in this suffering country. May all these beings be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And extending out to all beings in the Northern Hemisphere. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And now including the Southern Hemisphere. So to all sentient existence on the planet, may they be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And now outwards through our solar system, out to the furthest stars we can possibly imagine and beyond. May all beings be safe. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. So just staying in this space of wishing love and kindness for all sentient existence. I would just like to introduce some new phrases so you can get a feel for how creative and expansive you can be in this meditation. This particular meditation is from Loving Kindness in plain English by Bhante Guranatana. I find it very beautiful. If it speaks to your heart, I do have handouts of this if you want to take them at the end of class. So with a boundless mind, let us direct our minds in the 10 directions and wish all living beings in all directions be free from greed, anger, aversion, hatred, jealousy, and fear. Let these thoughts of loving friendliness embrace all of them, envelop them. Let every cell, every drop of blood, every atom, every molecule of their entire bodies and minds be charged with these thoughts of loving friendliness. Let their bodies and minds be relaxed and filled with the peace and tranquility of loving friendliness. Let the peace and tranquility of loving friendliness pervade their entire bodies and minds. May all beings in all directions, all around the universe, be beautiful. Let them be happy. Let them have good fortune. Let them have good friends. Let them after death be reborn in heavens. May all beings everywhere be filled with a feeling of loving friendliness, abundant, exalted, measureless, free from enmity, free from affliction and anxiety. May they live happily. May it be so. So in addition to sending metta out to the cardinal and the intercardinal directions, we can send metta out to the realms, right? To the heaven realms, the hell realms, the hungry ghost realms, to beings in these aversive states of mind. You're not limited in any way. So with working with groups, if a particular news story is coming up that is just breaking your heart, you can maybe work with that group of beings who are in detention, immigrants, women in labor, leaders, those in law enforcement, just whatever is coming into your heart right then. You can just stop whatever you're doing, or even while you're doing whatever you have to do, just bring the intention that these beings may have happiness into your awareness, and never underestimate the power of loving intention. Just follow your heart. So at this point, I'd like to very briefly talk about metta without concept. I would just like to point briefly at that. So clearly in metta, we start with words, right, phrases, and with ideas. So there's duality. Very intentionally, there's duality there. And we do this in Zazen too, right? We start by placing the mind on the breath in the still point. Myself, my breath, there's duality there. And this is where we start. Some of you are doing the Lam Ram, so you may have heard Rinzin at the last class say, he said, you need to have a sense of yourself as a separate thing so that you can realize you are not. He said all the sense experiences get shuffled up to an experiencer, which by definition is separate from the experience. And of course we know there's no solid fixed experiencer, right? But this is a necessary pre-ingredient for awakening. He said the tree can't realize its non-dual nature because it hasn't realized its dual nature. And we work with this in all of our practices, right? We work with our human beingness, with the operating system we have. And you'll notice that our practice is always embodied practice. We open to all of our experiences as they arise. We pay attention to all of the sense gates, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, the mental formations, thoughts, feelings, emotions. And as you practice over time, you may find that the phrases and the categories in metta meditation kind of fade into the background. And the instruction is don't resist that. Just like when you did beginning instruction, at some point the numbers tend to fade. When you're counting the breath, at some point the numbers really fade into the background. And you're encouraged to go with that. It's fine. And even the feeling of placing your mind on the breath in the still point may just fall away to just being the breath. We don't resist that. So if the technique falls away, that's fine. But don't force that to happen. This is just a very organic thing. Don't worry about it. So this is moving into metta beyond concept. And just to be clear, it's not that our mind is spacing out and wandering. It's that our mind has become boundless and spacious. Clearly, we don't use concepts or words or ideas to create love. That would be absolutely impossible, right? But we use them to open the heart to these qualities that are already there. It's a technique, right? So if you fall into metta without concept, don't resist it. And this may be disconcerting. Yucha?
I'm not sure if I understood what you said. Did you say metta in concept or metta without concept?
Without concept, beyond concept, yeah. So it may be disconcerting. I remember many years ago, I was in a meditation class, and the teacher was talking about just following the natural breath all the way out and noticing there might be a gap at the end of the out-breath. And if you notice that, just rest there, not adjusting the breath in any way. And there was this young guy in the class, and this completely freaked him out. I mean, literally freaked him out. This groundlessness of that space where he was not breathing, where he was not in control. And sometimes falling into non-concept, into emptiness, can be disconcerting. And sometimes it can be just the most natural thing in the world. You don't give it a second thought, right? But just be aware that it can be disconcerting at times, particularly when your mind is kind of coming back. You may think, what the hell was that? Don't worry about it. Your mind is boundless, and let it just experience it as it is arising. So, with that warning. Last week we encountered the Metta Sutta, the words of the Buddha, and this week I'd like to bring in a chant, also the words of the Buddha. This is from the numerical discourses of the Buddha, and it's called the suffusion of the divine abidings, where he speaks to the mind reaching out in all directions, enveloping all beings. And as that intention arises, it catalyzes loving kindness. It's not creating loving kindness, it's catalyzing what is already there. So now it's no longer the thought of loving kindness, it's the experience of loving kindness, this quality of mind that is inherent to us. So I'll read the first verse. And he talks about 1/4 in this. So he's talking about each of the 4 immeasurables. So the first line goes, I will abide pervading 1/4 with a heart imbued with loving kindness. Likewise the second, compassion. Likewise the third, sympathetic joy. Likewise the fourth, equanimity. So these 4 qualities of mind. So above and below and around and everywhere, notice the use of concepts here. And to all as to myself, dissolving the dualistic barriers. I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world with a heart imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility, without ill will. So the heart of being, basically. So I do have handouts of this chant, but before we close with the chant, just a couple of words on loving kindness. As you practice, you may find that this heart of loving kindness just naturally arises in your life in a particular circumstance. Maybe when you see someone in difficulty, this just arises, and you can sow these seeds of intention for this person. Because you're simply allowing your Buddha nature to shine, right? What could be more natural than that? And to be clear, we're not talking about emotion, we're talking about quality of minds. Metta is present in each of the immeasurable. I know we've been spending a lot of time on metta, but the immeasurables interpenetrate each other. And equanimity, the 4th immeasurable, is the full realization of love, compassion, sympathetic joy. So they all work together in the mix. I have a quote from Ram Dass because I think there are some people here old enough to remember Ram Dass. No? Okay, good. And he said, so again from another non-dual tradition, right? How do you open the heart? You start to love that which you can love and just keep expanding. You love a tree, you love a river, you love a leaf, you love a flower, you love a cat, you love a human. But go deeper and deeper into that love until you love that which is the source of the light behind it all. So let's see if you have any questions. In the meantime, if we could hand out the chant and we'll close with that. Any questions? Yucho? Oh, yes, please. Sorry.
You spoke of the difficulty of sometimes guiding this towards ourselves, right? And being able to direct it towards the parts of us that we maybe inherently have love, and then the parts that we don't. Is it acceptable to separate those out, sort of the difficult part with the difficult beings?
Yeah, sure. Just like we can separate out different groups of beings, we can also, like, if you really feel the heart of anger arising in that particular moment, focus on that. That's, this is what I need to share with loving kindness right now. So absolutely, it's a very personal and creative practice. So when you feel maybe you're in difficulty, or maybe this particular aversive state is very much your thing. We all have them, right? Absolutely fine just to share loving kindness on that aspect of yourself. Of course, we're all realizing that the whole thing is it, right? This is all the Dharma arising, the beautiful aspects of ourselves and the not so pleasant aspects of ourselves, the whole thing. Any other questions? Thank you, Darshan.
So last week I was really struggling to come up with a mentor to work with. And today I realized that someone I think of that way is an author I've never met. Is that a perfectly acceptable starting point for something like that?
I didn't catch the thing you said right before that.
The person that I could identify as a mentor to me, who had an influence on my development and thinking, was an author whose many books I have read. Is this an acceptable starting point for something like that if you don't have an actual person?
Absolutely.
And also, some of the most difficult people in my life are no longer living. So, do you have any guidance for directing loving kindness toward those who are not alive?
So yes, it's fine to work with an author who opens your heart. Absolutely. I just quoted Ram Dass. He certainly opens my heart, particularly in his later life where he had had a stroke and was in a wheelchair and still radiating this goodwill. So traditionally you work with living beings, but I have been with teachers who say absolutely it's fine to work with beings who are no longer in that particular incarnation. And I do that. I do that for my parents who are long dead. So that's perfectly fine. And know that you are still, you're sowing these seeds of love that really have no separation. They're just being embedded in your consciousness and your stored consciousness and the universal mind. So share the love freely. There's no barriers at all. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Concerns? I really need to be faithful to our 10 o'clock end because the Tara Sadhana starts at 10.
And also beginning instruction.
And beginning instruction. Oh my God. Okay. So maybe we'll say the chant. If you all have a copy of the chant. Again, the words of the Buddha, the suffusion of the divine abidings. I will abide, pervading 1/4 with a heart imbued with loving kindness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth. So above and below and around and everywhere, and to all as myself. I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world with a heart imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. I will abide, pervading 1/4 with a heart imbued with compassion, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth. So above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world with a heart imbued with compassion, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. I will abide, pervading 1/4 with a heart imbued with gladness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth. So above and below and around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world with a heart imbued with gladness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. And of course, equanimity doesn't have its own verse because it's the expression, the full realization of the first three immeasurables. So let's dedicate the merit. Let's dedicate the merit of our time here together to all beings, particularly those who are stuck in the expression of love. So I'm going to, in dedicating this merit, invoke some more recitations from Bhante Gunatarama's book. May the minds of all living beings be filled with the thought of loving friendliness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. May they be generous, may they be gentle, may they be grateful, may they be relaxed, may they be happy and peaceful, may they be healthy, may their hearts become soft, may their words be pleasing to others. May everything that all living beings see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and think help them to cultivate loving friendliness, compassion, appreciative joy, equanimity, generosity, and gentleness. May their behavior be friendly and their loving friendliness be a source of peace and happiness. May their behavior help their personalities. May they be free from fear, tension, anxiety, worry, and restlessness. Wherever they go in the world, may they meet people with happiness, peace, and friendliness. May they be protected in all directions from greed, anger, aversion, hatred, jealousy, and fear. May it be so. So next week, compassion, sympathetic joy. But really, a lot of what we've learned on metta applies to these also.
Did you say you have handouts?
Yes. If anyone wants those recitations.
Thank you.
Let me turn my mic off. If I can find it.